Hello, witches, and thank you for coming to this live grimoire reading. This is actually going to be the last one. We're going to finish the grimoire today. And the question has been kind of floating around many times of like, what are we going to do when we finish the grimoire? And I'm kind of feeling like I want to just like start over again because I did already do a second edition of it. And so I think that's what's going to happen. But I kind of want to do it. I want to see if I can do it more frequently as well. So there's that. The plan is to keep going. We're going to start all over again. And also, I have been, first of all, I spent a couple of hours today. I used all of my spoons. And you know how last week I used all my spoons to make minestrone? This week I used all my spoons to shovel dirt out of the back of a truck onto the like garden beds at Weird Brook. And yeah, and that's okay. And I'm just showing up because that's what we do. But I've been kind of inspired to talk a little bit about kind of this kind of different culture that we have within this community that we have here in the app space, right? At community.brightanddark.org. What you need to remember is that probably well over 80% of our community would be considered disabled through the lens of capitalism in some way. There are so many of us that navigate chronic pain, some kind of complicated medical history that chronic pain is one of those things. So, as you have learned from hanging out in this grimoire, I talk a lot about our relationship with our physical bodies and how important it is to approach that relationship with compassion and collaboration, which is very different than what we are accustomed to, again, through the lens of capitalism. When we have events within our community and the witch that is facilitating that event, if another witch can't step in for them, we generally will cancel the event. If that person is having a day that their body is needing more attention, that advocacy saying, hey, I don't think I can do it. I think that my attention needs to be with my body tonight is celebrated. We don't shame witches for needing to shift plans or ask for accommodations. And that is something that there's a lot of shadow work around that, because we tend to we are so taught that our value is in our productivity and our ability to show up and to push through at all costs and do what you say you're going to do, right? Even if it's going to cost you your relationship with your body. And so when we love to have that compassion, right? But when it comes to experiencing someone else saying, hey, I have to cancel plans, my body needs more attention. In the beginning, many times there's this like, we're upset, we're frustrated that the event got canceled, right? And so that it really is this opportunity for you to also pause and say, this person is allowed to advocate for their body. We're not all supposed to be 100% all of the time. And I'm proud of my cousin for being brave enough to say, no, I don't think it's a good idea today. Okay. So I thought it was very important to just kind of address that because we have been kind of shifting things around. Um, and that's okay. We're supposed to. The way that we navigate life is we adjust accordingly. Sometimes things don't go to plan, and that's okay. Oftentimes it goes better when you prove yourself to be a good advocate for your body. Hello, everyone. Okay. Let's get right to it. What I love about where we're starting in the grimoire is that we're revisiting the structure. So we're kind of doing a quick summary of the chapters that we just read. And so I'm going to start there. The structure revisited. Okay. That's not what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Okay. The structure revisited. Here's a quick recap of the ceremonial structure we've explored together. Think of this as a living framework designed to provide guidance while leaving plenty of space for your individuality to shine. This is what you may be doing, but the how is entirely up to you. So, number 1, prepare your internal system. This is where everything begins. Before you reach for your tools or set your space, you turn inward, ground yourself, center your thoughts, breathe, acknowledge your body and spirit as active participants in the work ahead. This step is your personal check-in, the moment you align with the energies you'll be calling upon. 2, prepare and connect to your space. Your environment isn't just a backdrop. It's an ally. Take time to attune to the space you're working in, whether it's a bedroom, a forest clearing, or a cozy corner of your home. Call to them, connect with their energy, and invite them to collaborate with you. Creating harmony with your surroundings sets the tone for everything that follows. I scrolled too far down. Hold on. Build your altar and gather your supplies. Your altar is the heartbeat of your ritual. Whether it's elaborate or minimalistic, its purpose is to anchor your intention. Arrange it intuitively, letting each item reflect the energy of your working. Your supplies, from candles to crystals to feathers, are tools, each chosen for its resonance and function with your purpose. 4, invite elements and allies. This isn't a solo endeavor. Call upon the elements, ancestors, spirits, or energies that resonate with your intention. This is a moment of collaboration, a sacred invitation to forces seen and unseen. Each ally brings unique wisdom and power, amplifying the energy of your work. 5, make a declaration of intention. Clarity is key. Declare what you're seeking to create, release, or transform. This step isn't about formality, it's about sincerity. Whether spoken, written, or visualized, your intention becomes the guiding star of your ritual, aligning your energies with your desired outcome. 6, release resistance to the working. Shadow work meets magic here. Identify and release the limiting beliefs, fears, or patterns that could interfere with your intention. This isn't a punishment, it's a liberation. By acknowledging and letting go of what no longer serves you, you create space for your magic to flow freely. Build the energy or charge the working. This is the crescendo, the moment where spiritual and physical worlds collide within you. Raise energy through movement, visualization, sound, or stillness, whatever resonates with your intention. The feeling signature you create here is the life force you infuse into your spell, charging it with purpose and vitality. Close with gratitude. Gratitude is the bridge between the sacred and the mundane. Thank your allies, the elements, and yourself for showing up fully. Closing isn't an end, it's a transition. Expressing gratitude reinforces the energetic loop, grounding the magic while honoring the relationships that make it possible. Engage in aftercare. Magic isn't over when the candles are snuffed. Aftercare is essential for integration and sustainability. Feed your body, ground your energy, and reflect on the experience. This step honors the work you've done, ensuring the working you've raised takes root in your reality. Let's get one thing straight. This isn't a rigid structure. If it were, my contrarian self would have set it on fire and danced on the ashes by now. This path is alive. It breathes, shifts, and evolves with you. It's not designed to be a cage. The door is always open, remember? Instead, this is a framework that provides support without suffocating your unique connection to magic. This adaptability empowers you to shape the structure into something uniquely yours, honoring both the fluidity of your magic and the intricacies of your daily life. By working within this framework, you claim the freedom to create a practice that resonates deeply with your experiences, aspirations, and identity. Think of this basic structure as scaffolding. It gives you something to build on. But what you create within it is entirely up to you. Your workings might look like quiet whispered prayers or wild ecstatic rituals that make your neighbors question their life choices. Your allies might be the moss-covered stones in your garden, the whispers of ancestors long past, or the faint hum of the cosmos itself. All of it is valid. All of it is magic. This tradition isn't about following someone else's blueprint. It's about recognizing your inherent power and embracing the messiness of growth as you reclaim the full spectrum of your magical essence. This path is about showing up, raw, flawed, and gloriously human, and weaving the fabric of your life into something transformative. The deeper you dive into your practice, the more you'll see that the path of a witch born of shadow isn't something you do. It's something you live. Every ritual, every intentional breath, every choice to engage with the unseen is a crack in the oppressive structures we've been told we had no choice but to accept. With every working, you bring your medicine into the world, into a world that desperately needs it. A medicine born of your unique experiences, trials, and triumphs. This medicine is more than a metaphor. It represents the transformative and healing essence of your lineage. Each spell cast and intention set is an act of alchemy, turning your shadows into shared wisdom and your challenges into strength. And let me tell you, the trees have noticed. They miss you. They whisper your name when the wind passes through their leaves, welcoming your return to the interconnected web of life. Thank you for trusting me with this part of your journey. The work you're doing within yourself and in the world is more important than you realize. By embracing gratitude and honoring these connections, you're actively reinforcing the broader themes of reciprocity and mutual empowerment that define this path of magic and collective self-discovery. Every step you take, toward cooperation and intention matters. Now, put your boots on, witches. This tradition isn't for the faint of heart. It's for those brave enough to face their demons and dance with them until they remember their own rhythm. It's for those bold enough to reclaim their voice in a world that would rather keep them silent. Let's build something extraordinary together. And now we come to a trip around the sun. Oops. I am open to this journey to untangle what is bound. I choose to live my life based on the truths that I have found. May I forever be a student, learning more with every day. May the challenges I face reveal the lies that block my way. Integrating the structure into yearly practice. As we step into this next section of the Grimoire, we transition from philosophy to action, from understanding to embodying the magic of a witch born of shadow. This is where the high concepts we've explored take on form and rhythm, threading themselves through the cycles of your days, months, and seasons. Think of it as the choreography of your magical practice, an annual dance that aligns your everyday life with the natural rhythms of the universe, because that's when everything changes. That's when you get to see how connected you actually are by nature, to nature. A radical reunion. But first, to embrace this tradition is to choose to engage in a radical act of reunion with the earth, with yourself, and with community. It's not about forcing your internal system to match some external standard or ideal. Instead, it's about listening, really listening to what your body, mind, and spirit need in response to the shifting energies around you. I got an itch. Okay. Every system has its preferences and rhythms. And your responsibility as the advocate for your unique incarnation is to create a practice that aligns with those needs. For centuries, humanity's attention has been bent and shaped by constructs like the clock, the Gregorian calendar, and an obsession with productivity that divorces us from the natural rhythms of existence. These structures pull our focus away from the wisdom of our bodies and the cycles of the earth, demanding conformity to an artificial tempo designed for extraction rather than thriving. Reclaiming your connection to these natural cycles is a quiet but profoundly impactful revolution. It's about remembering what it feels like to be fully present in your incarnation, to realign your life with the gentle pulse of the universe. This act of reclamation isn't just personal. It's a deliberate polarization toward connection and collaboration. By choosing to deepen your relationship with the cycles of the sun and moon, you are aligning with the rhythms of creation itself, fostering a sense of harmony both within your system and with the world around you. In doing so, you actively reject the path of control and dominance, embracing instead the path of trust, collaboration, and connection. The clock versus the cosmos. The artificial rhythms imposed by society like the rigid 9-to-5 workday, the relentless march of quarterly deadlines, and the unyielding expectations of a capitalist machine are designed to fragment our attention and strip us of our agency. They tell us that rest is a waste of time because our worth is measured in how much we can produce. But the cosmos has a different message. The natural world speaks in cycles, the waxing and waning of the moon, the turning of the seasons, the ebb and flow of the tides. These rhythms remind us that life isn't a straight line. It's a spiral, a dance of beginnings and endings, growth and rest. Choosing to align with these cycles is therefore an act of defiance. It's reclaiming your focus and redirecting it toward what truly matters, your relationship with your life and your connection to the sacred. It's about shifting from the artificial construct of progress to the organic flow of presence. When you stop measuring your life against the clock and start allowing yourself to move with the rhythms of nature, you reclaim the powerful participatory magic of your attention, which someone else is currently siphoning and benefiting from, by the way. Reconnecting to natural rhythms doesn't require a complete upheaval of your life. It begins with small, intentional acts of engagement. Start by noticing the sunrise and sunset, letting these daily transitions anchor your awareness. Spend a few moments each morning feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin or listening to the world awaken around you. In the evening, take time to observe the fading light and feel the day's energy settle. Allow yourself to experience them in a meaningful way. These simple acts of presence create a bridge between you and the rhythms of the earth, gently guiding you back to alignment, even if you live in a concrete jungle. Keep a journal of small observations: the shifting position of the sun, the temperature of the air, the subtle signs of seasonal change, and how your physical and spiritual expressions respond to them. These practices are about curiosity and connection. Each moment of presence becomes an entry in the story of your path as a witch born of shadow. The early years of repairing your relationship with these powerful allies. Embracing circadian wisdom. I almost said wisdom. I should have just gone with it. Our bodies are wired to engage with the cycles of light and darkness, a rhythm known as the circadian clock. Like all other aspects of our practice, this is not about strict adherence so much as creating a relationship with our system and the time of day. We have night owls and morning larks, those who stay up hours after sundown and those who wake up hours before the sun rises, and everyone in between. This natural variation is measurable based on chronotype and serves community needs for diversity of schedule. This ancient internal mechanism regulates everything from our sleep-wake cycles to hormone production. When we honor this rhythm and how it aligns with our own, our physical, mental, and emotional health improves. When we ignore it, or our own needs in relation to it, we experience dissonance, fatigue, anxiety, and a pervasive sense of being out of sync. This isn't just about improving your health, though that's a lovely side effect. It's about creating a foundation of presence for your magical practice. When your body feels supported, your energy flows more freely, amplifying your ability to sincerely set intentions, raise power, and manifest change. Harmony within begets harmony without. The seasons as teachers. Each season carries its own lessons, its own flavor of influence. Creating a spiritual practice that supports living in alignment with these seasonal energies means gradually releasing control and moving with the flow rather than against it. When we surrender to this sacred shift of weather, food, and even color, we step in cadence with powerful allies. During winter, give yourself permission to rest and refine more, to say no to the relentless demands of hustle culture. Turn inward and allow yourself to explore your dreams. In spring, let yourself create boldly, planting the seeds of your intentions. Summer might find you taking more risks, stepping into the fullness of your power. Autumn is your chance to harvest and reflect on the work you've done, to honor what you've created, and to release what you don't want to carry into your next trip around the sun. These cycles aren't just metaphors, they're maps for living. By integrating their wisdom into your practice, you align your life with the rhythms of creation itself. In a world that profits from our disconnection, choosing presence and alignment is a way of reclaiming your power. It's a declaration that your worth is not tied to your productivity, that your time is not a commodity, and that your life is not an endless march towards someone else's idea of success. The seasonal dance. The practice of a witch born of shadow isn't just something you do. It's your birthright. It's something you live, breathe, and weave into the fabric of your existence. And like life itself, our connection to our magic has seasons. The cycles of the year aren't just a backdrop for spell work. They're an invitation to step into the grand choreography of our existence, a rhythm that connects us to the land beneath our feet, the stars overhead, and the wisdom carried in the marrow of our bones. The toxic priorities of capitalism and the patriarchy infiltrate even our relationship with time, dictating that productivity is the ultimate goal, even at the expense of our mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. This detachment is no accident, my dear. It's by design. Reclaiming this rhythm is an act of rebellion against everything that seeks to fragment us from ourselves, each other, and our world. It challenges the narratives that disconnect us from our intrinsic worth and power, inviting us to honor the sacredness of our unique paths. This act of reconnection not only fortifies our self-worth, but it also empowers us to stand firmly in our truth, weaving our magic unapologetically into the fabric of existence. It's about remembering that we too are part of the dance, no less sacred than the turning of the seasons. A practice rooted in observation. For a witch born of shadow, everything begins with observation, in slowing down and paying close attention. It's about cultivating a deep awareness of how your internal rhythms actually interact with the world around you. How does your body respond to the shortening days of winter or the expansive energy of summer? What patterns emerge in your thoughts and emotions as the seasons shift? Observation is the foundation of our practice. It's the act of truly listening, not only to the natural world, but to the subtle whispers of the nature of your own system. Modern medicine and societal pressures often teach us to view our seasonal fluctuations as problems to be fixed. Take seasonal depression, for example. We're told to medicate it so that we can maintain productivity, returning to work without question. But what if those feelings of sadness and lethargy aren't symptoms of something broken, but signals from your body? What if your system is simply urging you to slow down, to reflect, to embrace the necessary introspection of winter? Reclaiming this perspective is a complete game changer. It's a choice to see your system as an ally rather than an obstacle, to work with your natural rhythms instead of punishing and shaming yourself for not being a robot. This approach recognizes that our internal cycles are as unique as our fingerprints. Not everyone thrives in the morning, and not everyone feels energized by summer's long days. Night owls are just as valid as daybreak devotees, and Southern Hemisphere witches experience entirely different seasonal influences than their Northern counterparts. Honoring these differences is crucial. It's not about forcing compliance. It's about listening to what your system needs and responding with care and compassion. All right. Autumn to winter, the deep exhale. As the days grow shorter and the air turns crisp, our environment invites us to release. Autumn is a season of fortification and shedding. Leaves fall, plants wither, and the world prepares for rest. For witches born of shadow, it's a time to reflect on the year's journey, to honor what we've accomplished and acknowledge what we're ready to let go of. This is the season of the deep exhale, a moment to pause and process. Reflection in this season is engaging with the dark, honest truths of your life. What worked? What didn't? What lessons have emerged from your challenges? What legacy will you leave behind? This process creates space for transformation, allowing you to carry forward only what serves your growth. Rooting out any problematic ancestral influences, gleaning the wisdom, and making the choice to stop engaging with your life in the same way. Winter extends this invitation into stillness. The long nights and cold days remind us that rest is not a luxury, but a necessity. Growth happens in the dark. Roots deepen, seeds germinate, and we restore ourselves for the cycle ahead. Embracing this stillness is an act of defiance in a world that glorifies constant motion. It's a reminder that the most powerful revolution isn't always loud or visible. Sometimes it's the quiet work of curling up under a blanket with a hot beverage, of reflective journaling, of preparation. Winter to spring, the first stirring. As winter begins to thaw, a new energy emerges. The earth stretches and stirs, and we feel that shift within ourselves. Spring is a season of inspiration and potential, a time to plant the seeds of our dreams and intentions. But this transition can feel disorienting, like stepping into the sunlight after months in the shadows. Everything feels too bright, too fast, too alive. We want to do all of the things. This is a season of beginnings. But beginnings don't have to be picture perfect. It's more about starting where you are, planting small, manageable seeds rather than overwhelming yourself with grand gestures. What feels aligned? What sparks your curiosity? Let those questions guide your actions as you gently step into the intense energy of renewal. Spring reminds us of the power of hope and courage. To plant seeds when frost still lingers is an act of faith, a declaration that growth is possible even in uncertain conditions. It's a season of possibilities, one that asks us to trust in the process of becoming. Spring to summer, the aesthetic bloom. Spring's potential bursts into summer's vibrancy, a season of growth, action, and celebration. The seeds you've planted take root and flourish, demanding your attention and care. Summer's energy is expansive, a time to pour yourself into your projects, relationships, and passions with wholehearted intensity. But this abundance comes with its own challenges. The fast pace and high energy of summer can feel overwhelming, especially if your boundaries aren't firmly in place. This is the season where balance becomes essential. Without grounding practices, the fiery energy of summer can lead to burnout, leaving you feeling scattered and drained. Celebrate your progress, but don't forget to rest. Honor your limits and remember that growth doesn't have to come at the expense of your well being. Summer is a time to revel in your achievements while staying connected to the rhythms that sustain you. Summer to autumn, the great harvest. As summer fades into autumn, we enter the season of the harvest. This is when the fruits of your labor come to fruition or don't. It's a time of reckoning, of taking stock of what you've created and deciding what to carry forward. Harvesting isn't just about gathering, it's about evaluating. How do I best process this harvest to sustain me through the dark times? What worked? What didn't? What lessons have emerged from your efforts? This is a season of gratitude and release, a time to honor what you've achieved and let go of what didn't work out. It's a recalibration, a preparation for the cycle to begin anew. Autumn reminds us that every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. By embracing this cycle, we step into the flow of creation and transformation, weaving our magic into the fabric of existence. Living the cycles. Whoa. These seasonal rhythms may seem metaphorical, but I invite you to investigate why metaphors are so rich with meaning. This feeling is more than I think I misspelled something, than an abstract concept. It's hinting to us that these are actually deeply rooted frameworks for living. By aligning your ceremonial practices with the cycles of the year, you create a spiritual life that is as dynamic and evolving as the seasons themselves. Your practice doesn't have to have rigid schedules or external expectations, even. It can be about finding your own rhythm, listening to your system, and responding with authenticity. This approach to magic thrives where intention meets flow. As you work with the seasons, you'll discover that your practice becomes a living, breathing expression of your connection to your incarnation, trusting that when you align with these rhythms, you unlock the power to shape your life and influence your You unlock the power to shape your life and your influence with purpose and grace. Okay. The full moon, illuminating and releasing. The full moon shines its light on everything. Truths we hide, emotions we suppress, and beliefs we cling to even when they perpetuate our suffering. For a witch born of shadow, this is an invitation to illuminate our internal landscape and consciously engage with the process of identification and release. This work is inherently messy, human, and profoundly transformative. Noticing what needs to go. The week leading up to the full moon is all about observation. What beliefs, patterns, or habits are making life heavier instead of lighter right now? Where are you out of alignment with your purpose or your values? These questions aren't just theoretical, cousin. They're invitations to pay attention to the whispers of your system. Our emotions are the breadcrumbs that lead us to the beliefs still shaping our experiences. If you've ever muttered, "Why am I like this?" during a particularly frustrating moment, congratulations, you've just identified a breadcrumb worth following. Emotions, especially the uncomfortable ones, are signals. Anger might point to the boundaries crossed. Sadness might reveal unmet needs. Anxiety might indicate internalized pressure to conform to societal expectations that don't align with your truth. By creating space to feel and examine these emotions, you can trace them back to their origins, the beliefs that birthed them. Cultural and medical research supports this connection. Studies in psychology show that emotions are tied to cognitive patterns and core beliefs, often established in early life. Similarly, many cultures, from indigenous traditions to Eastern philosophies, have long recognized the moon's role in illuminating both the physical and emotional tides within us. The moon's gravitational pull influences not just the ocean, but the very fluids within our bodies, subtly affecting our internal rhythms and allowing us to feel deeper. For example, consider the belief that productivity equals worth, a belief that I've brought up so much. This idea, deeply ingrained by capitalism and patriarchal systems, often manifests as guilt when resting, or an inability to celebrate accomplishments without immediately chasing the next goal. Noticing this belief in action is the first step toward change. The full moon ritual release. On the night of the full moon, we move from noticing to releasing. This isn't about erasure or denial. It's about creating closure by bringing the full light of our awareness to the distortion. Beliefs and patterns that are problematic often had a purpose at one time. They helped us survive, navigate trauma, or meet societal expectations. Survival mechanisms can become cages when left unchecked. Full moon rituals are a way to honor these beliefs for their service while consciously, fully choosing to let them go, to make room for a more aligned belief. The ritual itself is deeply personal and can take many forms. It might involve writing the belief on a piece of paper and burning it safely to symbolize the transition. You might bury an object representing the pattern, returning it to the earth with gratitude. The key is sincerity. This is not a performance, but a sacred act of healing and transformation. Science aligns with this intuitive practice. Neurological studies show that symbolic acts like burning or burying, creating tangible shifts in the brain's ability to process and let go of emotional burdens. When paired with the heightened energy of the full moon, this work becomes a profound collaboration between the physical and metaphysical. By framing the release as an act of collaboration rather than control, you align with the philosophy of polarizing toward connection. You're not banishing parts of yourself, but engaging with them compassionately, choosing to release what no longer aligns with your path or what doesn't actually belong to you. You're giving it back to where it came from. Embodying the release. The ritual is not the end. It's the beginning of living differently. The week following the full moon is about embodiment, practicing life as if the belief you released is truly gone. This isn't fake it till you make it. It's a deliberate exercise in neuroplasticity, rewiring your brain through consistent practice and intention. For example, if you release the belief that rest is unproductive, the week after the full moon might involve intentionally scheduling rest without guilt. When old triggers surface, like a voice in your head whispering you're lazy, you gently remind yourself of your new belief that rest is a sacred act of care. Every time you choose alignment over conditioning, you reinforce the new neural pathways that support your growth. As you begin engaging with your life in accordance to this release, you begin to see more of the life you actually want to live. The incompatible influence is no longer present, not because you lit it on fire last week, but because over the course of this week, you actually embodied the change. You are no longer bound or burdened in that way. You are free. So now what? Connection to the lunar dance. The full moon's illumination is not about fixing what's wrong or broken. That's an important distinction. You are not broken. It's about radical accountability, seeing your potential and the expansive possibilities that arise when you release what has kept you caged. This cycle of noticing, releasing, and embodying isn't separate from your everyday life as a witch born of shadow. It is your life. The full moon brings a unique energy, shaped by its position in the zodiac and the natural cycles of the earth. By aligning with these rhythms, you deepen your connection to the cosmos and your own internal landscape. The practice becomes a collaboration, and that's what it begins to feel like, to dance with the universe, guided by the light of the moon. So under the light of the next full moon, ask yourself, what am I done with? What belief, pattern, or habit has reached the end of its story? And as you let go, know that you are not just changing your life. You're contributing to the collective transformation of the worlds within and around you. That, dear witch, is the magic of the full moon, you glorious lunatic. The new moon, planting seeds in the dark. The new moon is a cosmic pause, a moment of stillness where the sky becomes a canvas of possibility. Its darkness doesn't signal an absence. It signals a beginning and infinite possibilities. For a witch born of shadow, the new moon offers an opportunity to lean into the unknown, to plant seeds of intention, not necessarily with certainty, but with trust. In this quiet, fertile void, we begin to work the work of manifestation as a deliberate choice to create the life we envision. The second half of the month is a counterbalance to the introspection of release work under the full moon. It's the spark that ignites our expansion, the energizing call to nurture what we want to grow. This is not about daydreaming or passively hoping the universe will deliver. It's about aligning our actions, thoughts, and energies with our desires. It's about meeting the universe halfway. Beyond thinking positive. Let's dispel a myth right now. Manifestation is not think positive and wait for miracles. That's not manifestation. It's toxic positivity dressed up in glitter. Real manifestation is active. It's showing up for yourself over and over, even when it's inconvenient or clumsy. It's a conversation between you and the universe, where your intention becomes the language and your actions become the punctuation. Under the new moon, I begin with clarity. The release work of the full moon clears the ground, creating space for my desires to take root. With this clarity, I move into a manifestation ritual that isn't just symbolic, it's embodied. My favorite way to embody manifestation workings? Dance. Manifesting through movement. There's nothing quite like the experience of a ritual rave to pull my intentions from my mind and anchor them into my body. Dancing for me is magic in motion. Every step, every sway, every heartbeat becomes an expression of the life I'm bringing into the world. A physical declaration that this is real, this is happening, and I am ready to do something about it. Science has shown that movement is a powerful way to integrate the mind and body. Neurological studies reveal that dancing can stimulate creativity, reduce stress, and strengthen neural pathways associated with intention and focus. Dance becomes a bridge between thought and reality, blending the tangible and intangible into a single transformative act. For example, if I'm manifesting courage, my movements become bold, expansive, and unapologetic. If abundance is my focus, I dance with openness, letting the music guide me into a state of receptivity. By the end of the ritual, my intentions aren't just thoughts. They're etched into my being, alive in my breath and bones. But I don't practice alone, my friend. In the guild, we dance together as a community for our manifestations every month. We have both in-person and virtual spaces where our coven gathers to move in unison. Think Zumba for witches. It's a specially curated playlist created by a witch whose autistic special interest and synesthesia is in how sound makes us feel and move. Our ceremony is facilitated by the Unbound, who are experts in creating positive containment for the expansion of neurodivergent witches' relationship with their lives. It is a truly indescribable experience if you have no point of reference. Community changes everything. Nurturing intentions. The new moon ritual is only the beginning. Once the intention is set, the waxing moon calls us to action. This is the phase of growth, where the seeds we've planted need care and attention to thrive. Manifestation isn't a one-night affair, cousin. It's a process, a collaboration between you and the cycles of the universe. During the waxing moon, I take deliberate steps to nurture my intentions. If my focus is courage, I might practice speaking affirmations of strength each morning, reminding myself that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it, or something like that. I might challenge myself with small acts of courage, like setting a boundary or starting a conversation I've been avoiding. If my intention is abundance, I translate that desire into tangible actions. I might write a gratitude list each night to remind myself of the wealth I already have, or explore new ways to invite abundance into my life. If you're manifesting the boss witch life, take a class on business management. Look for opportunities to participate in your life in a way that is aligned with the life that you want to live. The key is consistency. Each step, no matter how small, strengthens the energetic momentum of your magic. Every action becomes a declaration. I am an active participant in my own growth. Refinement through resistance. Oops. As the moon waxes, so does the energy of your working. But growth isn't always smooth. Old habits, limiting beliefs, and fears often resurface during this phase, testing your commitment to your intentions. This isn't a sign of failure. It's an opportunity for refinement. Let's say you've set an intention for courage, but halfway through the waxing phase, you find yourself retreating into self-doubt. Instead of shaming yourself, you pause and reflect. Where is this doubt coming from? Is it a voice from the past, a belief that was handed to you but doesn't belong to you? By addressing these moments with curiosity rather than criticism, you deepen your alignment with your intention, and your lived experience begins to show you what needs to be released at the next full moon to bring you even closer to what you asked for. This work of refinement is about showing up for yourself with compassion, even when the process feels uncomfortable. After all, seeds don't sprout in a day, and neither do your intentions. To believe in your worth, to claim your space, and to pursue a life that reflects your truth is to reject the systems that profit from your compliance. For example, choosing abundance as a focus isn't just about wealth. It's about dismantling the scarcity mindset perpetuated by capitalism. By nurturing abundance in your life, you disrupt the narrative that says that there's never enough, that your success must come at someone else's expense. You remind yourself and the world that there is room for all of us to thrive. Similarly, manifesting self-trust isn't about personal growth. It's about reclaiming your autonomy from systems that have taught you to doubt yourself. It's about saying, I trust my voice, my choices, my path, and no one can take that from me. a cycle of becoming. I'm going to just keep reading until I'm done because I'm close. Close. I will laugh my whole everything off if I finish write it. Anyway, let's go. Cycle of becoming. The work of the new moon doesn't end with manifestation. It carries forward into the waxing moon, the full moon, and beyond. Each phase builds on the last, creating a rhythm of intention, action, reflection, renewal. This cyclical process isn't about achieving a final destination. It's about becoming. Knowing where to start can be intimidating when you begin your journey of alignment. It can feel clumsy and rudderless, but that is actually precisely what the moon is for, to show us what needs attention. With practice, you will gain confidence. By aligning with the new moon, we step into the flow of the universe, planting seeds of transformation and nurturing them with care. We remind ourselves that growth doesn't happen in a straight line, that resistance is a part of the process, and that our magic is most powerful when it comes from a place of authenticity. This is where the cosmic dance of separation and reunion comes alive. In planting these seeds, we lean into the fertile darkness of the new moon, trusting that our efforts contribute not only to our individual growth, but also to the collective web of existence. The seeds we nurture ripple outward, weaving a story of liberation and connection. So as the next new moon approaches, ask yourself, what do I want to create? What do I want more of in my life? What seeds am I ready to plant? And as you set your intentions, remember that this work is more than just witchcraft. It's a reclamation of your power, your purpose, and your place in the cosmic dance. The rhythm of the lunar cycle. The moon, a tireless timekeeper and cosmic guide, offers more than just a celestial rhythm for this dance we call life on Earth. For which is born of shadow, its cycles provide a structure for liberation, healing, and intentional growth. Each month carries its own unique energy, a fingerprint of the cosmic dance, and by aligning our magical practices and internal reflections with these rhythms, we create a foundation for both personal empowerment and collective transformation. Each lunar cycle invites us into a partnership, an exchange between the energies of the moon and the intentions we bring to it. This isn't about chasing the moon with rigid rituals or striving to performative perfection. Instead, it's about flowing with its energy, letting it guide us as we explore themes tailored to the specific needs of cycle breakers and black sheep. This alignment is not just magical, it's inevitable. A roadmap for reclamation. Every moon in the annual cycle has a story to tell, one that reflects both the natural world and our inner landscapes. In Foundations, the themes chosen for each moon are carefully curated to address the fractures caused by dominion-based systems. Patriarchy, white supremacy, ableism, capitalism. These structures thrive on separating us from our bodies, our communities, and our innate power. Each theme is a tool for dismantling this conditioning, a chance to replace these narratives with ones rooted in connection and authenticity. For instance, a summer moon might focus on courage, challenging the fear-based narratives that have been used to keep us small and compliant. Courage isn't just about slaying dragons or leaping into the unknown. It's about daring to show up as your full, unfiltered self in a world that demands conformity. This theme might involve rituals that strengthen self-trust or practices that celebrate the awkward, beautiful act of trying. Alternatively, an autumn moon might guide us toward abundance, a concept so warped by scarcity mindset of capitalism. Abundance isn't just material wealth. It's the richness of community, the joy of creativity, and the audacity to believe that there is enough time, enough resources, enough room for us all to thrive. Working with this theme might include gratitude rituals, collaborative spell work, or small acts of generosity that ripple outward. These themes are not prescriptive but adaptive, designed to meet you where you are. They offer a framework for addressing the conditioning most relevant to the energy of that moon and season, creating opportunities to reclaim your agency, your magic, and your place in the cosmic whole. The interplay between new and full moons offers a dynamic rhythm of creation and release. New moons invite us to explore possibility, to lean into the darkness with trust, hope, and curiosity. Full moons, with their brilliant illumination, invite us to pause, reflect, and release what binds us. Together, they create a cycle of becoming, a balance between the inner and outer worlds, the personal and the collective. For neurodivergent practitioners, this flexibility is vital. The lunar cycle provides structure without rigidity, a container that adapts to your needs rather than demanding conformity. Some months you might dive deeply into that ritual and reflection. Other months you might simply acknowledge the moon's presence and take a moment to breathe. Both are valid. Both are enough. The infinite cycle. One of the most powerful aspects of lunar work is that it meets you exactly where you are. There is no perfect starting point, no right place to begin. When you're stepping into this practice, at the height of the full moon or the stillness of the waning crescent, the cycle welcomes you. This is not a linear process. It's a spiral, a continuous unfolding that offers endless opportunities to engage, to learn, and grow. Starting where you are requires courage. It means letting go of the need to have it all figured out and trusting that the cycle will guide you forward. This bravery, to begin without certainty and to engage without perfection, is transformative in and of itself. It reminds us that magic and power are not necessarily about the outcome, but about the process, the presence, the willingness to show up for ourselves and our lives. An invitation. You've made it to the end of this grimoire, or perhaps, more truthfully, to the threshold of something far greater. What comes next is entirely up to you. You could set this book down and let it become just another flicker in the long string of things you almost let change you. You could file it away under the interesting but impractical and go back to pretending you don't hear the hum of something deeper calling your name. You could choose to ignore the way your hands have itched to carve something real out of all this, the way your mind has spun with possibilities, the way something inside you has stirred that cannot be unstirred. But we both know that's not who you are. You wouldn't have made it this far if you weren't searching for something, if you weren't already on this path, whether you realized it or not. And now, you know you're not walking it alone. The choice isn't whether or not you belong, because you always have. The choice is whether you will step forward. Let's pause here for a moment, because we know this isn't easy. Those of us who have spent our lives on the fringes, neurodivergent, queer, disabled, forced open by trauma and rejection, the idea of reaching out is laced with risk. We have been burned by the false promises of belonging, used and discarded by people who could not hold us as we are. Some of us have never known what it's like to feel safe in community. So if you feel that pull and it scares the hell out of you, know that you are seen. We're not here to push you. We're not rushing your decision. The timing of your journey is yours alone to choose. We trust you to know when you are ready. And when that time comes, we will still be here. We've been waiting for you. There are others scattered across the world, hidden in plain sight, waiting with the patience of those who have always known that one day you would come looking. We are the Spellcrafters Guild, a non-hierarchical coven of witches dedicated to creating systems of mutual aid, education, and rehabilitation for those who have been marginalized by the influence of capitalism, patriarchy, and all the forces that would rather see us small, ashamed, and afraid. We founded a matriarchal church with international connections. Each of us carries medicine drawn from the ancestral lines that flow through our blood, our bones, our spirits. Each of us walks this path in our own way, guided by the unique giftings that make us who we are. There is no one right way to be a witch, no single tradition that fits us all. Only the knowing that our magic is real, our power is needed, and our hands are meant to weave something better than what we were given. And so we build together. If you are ready, truly, sincerely ready to take what you have read and turn it into something tangible, something practiced, something lived, then you will find us where all exiles eventually find each other, at the edges, in the wild places, in the cracks where something new is already growing. The path continues. At brightanddark.org, you will find the resources that are already waiting for you. Workbooks to guide you deeper into practice, a growing community of witches who have walked this road before you, the app space where we gather, teach, challenge, and support each other. And for those who feel the pull of something greater, for those who understand that this magic is best wielded not alone, but together, know that there is a coven where initiates step fully into what they were meant to be. The time of choosing. The world is shifting. You feel it, we feel it. And those who have worked so hard to see us small, quiet, alone, they feel it too. The era of the lone witch, locked in secrecy and solitude, is unraveling. What was stolen from us, the knowledge, the connection, the power of shared practice, is being reclaimed. Piece by piece, name by name, choice by choice. The reunion is at hand. The truth is, this has never been a path you were meant to walk alone. You were always meant to find us. So now, you stand at yet another threshold. The door is open. What happens next? That part has always been yours to decide. And until we meet again, I wish you many blessings, bright and dark. Sincerely yours, Jen Marie Gottschall and the Unbound Witches of the Resource Project. Ta-da! So that's it, cousins. Sarsaparilla and Silver are here with me tonight to help answer any questions that you guys might have about what I just read, or anything really, since it's the end of the grimoire. Feelings. Did you just say I gave you chills? You're welcome. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks. Oh, and Maria is in the chat as well. If you guys have any questions, about any of it.
There were a couple of questions
Oh shoot, I need to
earlier.
turn my
Um,
speakers on.
hmm?
Just look at that. I'm an asshole.
They were way back, so but I
Asking
kept track of
questions
them.
and not.
So the first one, I'm going to combine two actually, because asked about what kind of snacks, if we have like a regular snack post ritual that we go for every time, or if it's something different. And then Renee had asked about herbal tea in that same part of the conversation. So we can
Okay.
throw those two together.
Herbal tea is awesome. My favorite snacks. So usually what we do when we have like group or in-person ritual, we will, what have we done before? We've had a whole like ice cream bar set up. We've done tacos before or nachos, something that is simple and easy and usually prepared beforehand, because when you come out of ritual, you're usually like all wound up, and eating isn't usually something that you just like go to. You'd rather like frolic in the woods or sit laughing with people talking about what we just did. I have a like insatiable sweet tooth. And for like ceremonial work and ritual work, I will like save treats that people send me. I like gifted treats when I do ceremony or ritual work. And I love like fresh baked bread or soups, that kind of stuff is my favorite like post ritual stuff. My favorite pre-rituals like stuff is like a charcuterie board. That's my favorite pre-ritual food. Go ahead, Sass.
Um, After that question, my mouth has been watering because I was just reminiscing at the Convergence, the table that Kim laid out post ritual, right? Which was just all like meats and cheese and like total charcuterie was like perfect because then you can reach for whatever you wanted. When I'm alone, I certainly don't do that. It's probably a piece of cheese. So my go-to is always a piece of cheese. But yeah, that was like one of my favorite post ritual snacks. That was great. Thanks,
Yeah.
Kim.
Yeah, I also like a charcuterie thing. Like I remember one of the first there's like an old picture of it even from my one of my first bright and dark like post ritual things. It was like I had a little thing of olives and a little thing with crackers, a little plate with crackers and cheese, and then these little chocolate mushroom treats, like they were shaped like mushrooms. Um but yeah, and grapes. Grapes are actually a big one for me. Not sure why, but just like little finger foods are my favorite thing. Um, yeah, I feel like putting your like when you said nachos too, I was like something about like putting your hands on the food post ritual
Yeah.
feels like it feels
Yeah.
important for some reason. But yeah,
I've been to rituals like community rituals before where they roasted a whole goat over the ceremonial fires and shared that afterward. So you can go as far as you want to go. It's usually something that is thought out. It's usually something that you invest in. So yeah, I love it when people like stumble into some of the weird shit that we're doing all the time. It looks like Shadow Reader stumbled their way into this live grimoire reading. I actually read the last chapter of the Grimoire of the Ungovernable. And so now we're just kind of hanging out talking about it or whatever, really. And herbal tea, was that the second part of the question?
Yeah, like what are your favorites? Do you have favorites? And also, I would just like to say if I disappear, we're getting hit with like the biggest thunderstorm. Like, if I get a tornado warning and I disappear, that's what happened. So, just so you
Cool.
know.
We'll just be live forever because I have no
Yeah.
idea how to get us out of here. I'll have to like yell for Morgana. I have like an obsession with herbal teas, like any kind of tea, really. I love creative combinations of teas. I have a freakishly large tea collection, and I'm well aware of my problem with it. But yeah, one of my favorite tea makers right now is called Friday Afternoon Tea. They're a small business outside of in Seattle, actually. And the owner of the tea company has a form of synesthesia where they can taste words, and they have all of these like, and they're like very well educated in tea. It's like their special interest, and they have all these like fandom collections. So they have all of like Game of Thrones fandom, Lord of the Rings fandom, like all of these different Firefly fandom teas based on different characters. So yeah, don't get me started on tea unless you want me to just like go all in, because I am about that life. Anyone else want to talk about that life? I just like did it.
We have more questions that I can always pop up too, because I have one from back a little bit. I'm going to share it on the screen from Helby. Would love to hear our thoughts about working with the lunar and hormonal cycle together.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So a big part of this path that we're explaining, and I think I'm going to answer Shadow Reader too. You stumbled upon a coven of witches, so much more than just a coven of witches, though. We have an international community of neurodivergent witches that we serve within a community app space that we have. And we just finished reading the Grimoire of the Ungovernable that defines our agenda and like what we're doing with all of this. And so, I thought that tied in. What was the question again? Oh, hormones and stuff. Okay. So a big part of our practice, like I said, was in observation. And this is also in data collection, right? Most of us have a touch of the tism, and data collection kind of makes our spidey senses like go all nuts. But you get better at figuring out what kind of data you need to collect in order to create a magical practice that is in alignment with your system, including your hormones. Your hormonal fluctuations are a huge part of your internal experience, and so should very much be taken into consideration when you're doing your magical workings. If you are planning on doing some big, intricate, like ceremonial working when you on your first day bleeding, when you're doubled over and like cramping, and like, why would you do that to yourself, right? What we're constantly trying to create tools for neurodivergent practitioners to aid in things like data collection. We're about to launch a whole interactive workbook series that is our foundations program, which is our initiation program. And it's the same workbooks that they do in the program, but you can actually have them printed on demand. And it's like a day journal that has all of the things that you would need to track for an effective practice. How much water have you had? How much sleep have you had? What does the weather look like? But it's beautiful. It's aesthetically delicious, as we all like really appreciate. So that's going to be launching here. I believe it's set for autumn for the launching of that workbook series, but they're designed so that you can collect all of the data that you need. And every like there's a new one every month. And so it's just a way of tracking your practice and the things that you need. I know, right? It's so great. It's so great. I like when you guys see it, you're going to lose your whole minds. I know it. But yeah, that's a very common question. Ta-da. Anyone want to add?
Yeah, I didn't see any there specifically, so hopefully I didn't miss any.
I got something to say. The I have been more on this, like, especially in the last like year or so with moon cycles, and then like the luteal phase has been something I've been like hearing a lot about, which is like I think right before, like the week before your period, and like how um looking into that, like how you feel, right? Like, so some people like get really like angry, right before, right? And so, or very, I was gonna say cry, like I cry when I'm angry though, so it could just be that I'm angry actually. um but just figuring out like what it is that you're feeling, like those emotional cycles, as because like, moon, water, emotions, like figuring out that fluctuation, because everything, this was also in the grimoire reading too, but like the Gregorian calendar, um it's thrown us off in a lot of ways, and in addition to the like sun cycles, like everything current, like about the current like patriarchal work day is set to the way that men experience their cycles. And so it would actually be really different if people with uteruses, were able to designate, to flow with that, um, and do it together too. Like there used to be like there was like the red tent situation where it was just like there was a week, and all of the women, people that were experiencing moon cycles would gather in a red tent, and they would do self-care, and they would paint each other's toes, and have emotional release type of things, and that was like part of the system. And then there's also the like 1 or 2 weeks where you are very productive, and it's it's the same thing that has been like stigmatized as far as like why women get paid less is because they need more time off or whatever, all of the excuses. But actually, being reacquainted with that rhythm for yourself personally, and then also how that broadens, and what we have in common about that too is, I think, going to be a big part of the like kind of restructuring that happens the more we lean into this. And the best way to get um acquainted with that is for your personal system, and then sharing it. For me growing up, that's not like, we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about like moon cycles and stuff. We did not, like, it was very, it's a taboo topic a lot of the time, because again of the patriarchal atmosphere that we are all living in. um, so honestly, like us getting more comfortable talking about it is, it's going to be revolutionary. I think that's it.
Can I share a comment from Sarah here, because I think that it comes up a lot. I'm going to read the whole thing, and it says, love the idea of community, but feel I don't have much to offer, as I'm my disabled husband's full-time carer and have a small holding to look after and my jewelry business. And I think that that is something that's going to resonate for an awful lot of us in the group, from whether it's our own disability. I'm a full-time carer myself of a teenager with a disability. But I just didn't know if you, either one of you wanted to address that. I thought you might.
Do I ever? Okay. Don't know. I'm assuming that you didn't anyway. This is fun. Let's start. Okay. perimenopausal brain. Just remember that. And also, so when I hear someone saying that they love the idea of community, but they don't feel that they have anything to offer, and then they list off the things that make it to where they're very busy, I hear some of our social conditioning in that our value is in what we have to offer others. And if we have no like services or monetary or whatever to offer, then we have no value to a community. And I like, my hand is on your back, for one. Like, that's a lot to have to navigate. But when I hear that, I hear that, you know, that community is needed even more, that you need community. And a gentle reminder that we have seasons, and that sometimes our community just holds us, and that's okay. We're not being extractive by allowing community to support us and meet us where we are. Our involvement is going to be dependent on what's going on in our lives. We're allowed to still be humans and be busy and still be supported by community. And that's why we created the app space, the community.brightanddark.org. That is a space you can come and go as you please. Just knowing that you have the option to like hang out with a bunch of weirdos if you want to, when you want to. We're all over the world. There's a witch awake at any given moment that can engage with you. The vast majority of neurodivergent magical practitioners are considered disabled through the lens of capitalism. Most of us struggle personally, have a complicated relationship with being embodied. Chronic pain is a really common, I was talking about this at the beginning of this even, is a really common way that we experience life. And having support, other people that understand what it is to navigate life when you're medically complicated, is everything. To hear from someone genuinely saying, hey, you're welcome at this table, even if you're coming empty-handed. We want your perspective. Your perspective is what is valuable to us. We don't want your money. We don't want anything other than your conversation. We want to talk and share ideas, right? So, yeah, that's how I feel about that. I am a clinically diagnosed autistic savant with epilepsy and ADHD and hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and POTS and MCAS, and being able-bodied is not like, that's the weird thing in our circles. It would be really weird. I can't imagine a witch walking in and being like, I'm perfectly able-bodied. I got this. They're not usually drawn to witchcraft. Okay. So, yeah. Do you guys have anything to add? As far as working with specific deities, I don't work with deities. I don't need to. I haven't found a personal reason to engage with deities. But I'm not saying that engaging with deities is bad or wrong. This is what I'm talking about, how all of our systems and our lineage is different. Our relationship to the magic of our lineage, it's all going to be different. And so, yeah, I can't help you with the specific deities. because it's not something that I engage with. But Silver has something to say about it.
Was there a question specifically about? I didn't catch what the question
If
was.
you scroll up, I don't remember who did
There's
was
been a
talking
few.
about.
Yeah, there's been a few different ones
Okay.
throughout the chat. One was asking about Persephone. One was asking about Hecate and different things. So I think Jen Marie was answering them in a general
Okay,
fashion.
gotcha. Yeah. So I really like the like my perspective when it comes to deities is essentially that I'm interacting with parts of my own psyche when I work with deities. I am a character person. And so for me, having these very deeply rooted, because I've always been very interested in mythology, hence the title, like my whole life. So characters are my thing. And so for me, when I think of a deity, this name brings up all of these connotations, right? Like immediately, there's just a whole person that is called to mind, but it is my view of that person, right? So it's through my lens. So for me, inherently, this is a way that I um, contextualize stepping into certain aspects of my own power. Um, and it's also how I um, create a relationship with those aspects of myself. If anytime if you talk to me further at some point, I will end up being like, okay, let's talk to the part of you who, is, happy with what you have now and the part of you that isn't or whatever. I'm always like, let's split these two things apart and so they can talk better. Right. It's a really fascinating mechanism for me to engage in conversation in this way. Um, and the idea of worship, I think, for a lot of people implies this kind of hierarchy, right? Like worshiping something outside of yourself. And for me, because of connection based magic, right, it's more about having a conversation with part of myself that's inside of me. Right. So it's like I started out like with Mercury, right? I had a dream about Mercury. That's my own symbol, like my own symbolism regarding that particular archetype. And the more I've gotten to know that part of myself, the more I'm like, oh, I am a communication person. I am clearly interested in trade and travel and crossroads and all of these like things that traditionally this like god of those aspects is interested in. So for me, it's kind of a form of play to invoke those characters that we have as an entire species like humanity has had these threads running through us using archetypes in that way is really fun for me. And I'm also a theater person. And so that all kind of just runs together for me and just makes sense to my brain. So that's how I particularly use that and how you can use that in like a connection based way rather than I think the maybe traditional ways that we're imagining like worshiping or being like on your knees devoted to a bigger being than you type of goes for me. All right. Yeah, I think that's the end of that statement. I love when people bring up deities though, so
We are open for any questions if anybody wanted to drop them in the chat. Because I think that we've covered them all that I've seen so far.
I wanted to say one more thing actually about herbal tea. Because we moved on from it and I was just like very interested in the conversation that we moved on to. But since we have a moment, I'm very interested in nettle tea. Apparently it has like every fucking vitamin or something in there. Like I'm not super well versed in it, but as somebody who is malnourished, I feel like that's an important tea for me. And I've noticed that it is in some of the teas that I've gotten from one of my like local apothecary witches. So that's where I've gotten my tea. Although I do want to try that Friday afternoons place because that sounds very fun as well. That's what it was called, right? Friday afternoons. I don't know.
Is nettle tea bitter? It is, isn't it? Pretty bitter.
It is a little. I put a little honey in it, and it just kind of tasted earthy to me, though. So, go ahead, Jen.
Like grass. Tastes like making tea out of grass clippings. Kind of. But it's very nutritious. We're going to be growing some at Weird Brook. I'm going to keep like dropping those. We're growing that at Weird Brook. We're growing that.
I know I have some in my yard because I run into it sometime. This house that chose me gives me these gifts all the time of like new plants. When I find that what it seems like is when it's needed, they appear in my yard. I'm really very lucky. And it's probably everywhere already at Weird Brook. It is the season right now, I believe. But it's probably already growing on the property somewhere.
Everything's pretty slow in this location. It's like things are just now starting to bud up. We're doing bud stuff at Weird Brook, but that's about as far as we're going in this season.
It's still really cold there.
Yeah.
Like most days. Like you got a couple of really nice, like sunny 70 days while I was there. I just got back from a 2-week visit. So, but yeah, it was very cold actually. I was a little underdressed and had to like borrow warm things.
I escaped narrowly with my life in March when I had to drive out of there, and that nor'easter was wild. So, I wonder, is it going to be cooler in June when we all?
Not from what I hear. From what I hear, it gets hot and humid in June. So I'm bracing my Alaskan self for all that. What do you mean? Above 80 degrees.
I'm in Florida, so 80 is nothing. It was weird coming back and just the sun is a deadly laser, like, and I'm like, I can step out there for a few minutes, but the humidity is like a wall. So
I just had a vision of mine and Jen Marie's hair where we don't get off the plane in Florida.
Yeah, like it's already. She's screaming.
I have a question. What's next now that we finished the book?
I want to do it again. I'm going to just start over again. And we have this thing on the support team. This thing happens where we're like, you know what? I have this great idea. I want to do this club thing. I want to do this thing and I want to do it every single week, or every single day, every single week. And we all like look at each other and we like gently say, why don't we start by like doing it, committing to twice, like 2 instead of every single day. So at this point, that's why we're only doing the Grimoire reading the first and second Wednesdays, is because of that. Nobody wants me to like take too much on my plate, but I really enjoy the conversations that we've been having. There are so many different meetings that we do that allow for these kinds of conversations. But I think I want to start all over again and read it again and just treat it like a book club every Wednesday and just sit down. And so I will let you guys know, probably starting in June, we're going to start the book all over again. So next month, the first and second Wednesday. And I'll talk to the team and see if we can do it every Wednesday, if I'm in the clear yet. Not that I need permission, but they help keep me accountable. So I'm not like, I can do all of the things. It's going to be great. While growing a massive garden, living on an 80-acre homestead.
There's ever a month to overdo it, though. It's June, right?
June is the month. Ooh, Tama asks, do you identify with any one of the elements more than the other? I do this thing where I will choose an element and kind of really dig into my relationship with that element for a whole year, for a whole sun cycle. And I just kind of rotate through them so that I am nurturing a deeper relationship. This year has been earth. Earth is the element that I'm working with, roots. And so yeah, right now it's earth. Do you guys have an elemental practice, y'all?
I tend to use it probably all the time, right? Because for me, it helps because I was raised in a way very disconnected with my feelings and they were bad and all those sorts of things. The elements help me connect with feeling signatures more than if I were to name the feeling, because I don't always know what I'm feeling. And sometimes leaning into an element for it, like connecting with that, helps me to connect with that more. I'm hoping I'm explaining myself right, because a lot of times words are also hard for me, right? It tends to be more of interpretive dance when I'm explaining something. So I think that's why connecting with the elements help me a lot when I'm doing any sort of magic or spell work or personal work or shadow work or anything like that. It's just easier for my brain to get around. So that's how I connect with them.
I really like that, sarsaparilla. I also have the year practice, which I started and maybe even had it because Jen Marie talked about it when I first joined Bright and Dark. And I am also on Earth. I started with air because it was my that's the one I always identified the most with. I'm a Gemini, and just always was very into intellectual type of stuff. So I started with that because it was easy, and then I went to water, and then fire, and then now I'm on earth. So very much have been leaning more and more into physical things. So the body, very much so this year, is is my theme. And I definitely try to. I also include is it ether? Yeah, ether as the fifth. So I'm going to do that next year. But I definitely think of the elements all the time. I was raised on Avatar, The Last Airbender, and that always comes up in conversations, especially with Ocean, because we were both very, very into it. And it just works very well with my brain to see that split. I've even had dreams about how important the four of those traditional elements are, and then the ether being the connection, almost like the fascia between all of them. And the I also think about that. Like if you've seen um I think about it, that all of the elements in terms of various aspects of the body, which makes a lot of sense too with the emotions, like Sarsaparilla was saying. Like water is definitely very much like emotional body stuff, but they all have their places in there. Um, and they always end up working themselves into various analogies that show up the more I get to know them. So they have so many awesome messages in them. They're very um like because they're so base, right? Like that they're so like in the primary things that happen, like in the beginning of everything. Um I feel like they have very deep messages for us and things that are not always very easy to say in words. Like also like Sarsaparilla was saying. Because they're more likely to show you or to I was going to say feel you. They're more likely to give a message in that way, and then our logic brain wants to interpret them. So there's something else I was going to say there, but I lost it, so I'll hand it off.
Someone asked about the second edition, so I need to go through it one more time, make sure, because I'm still seeing some some problems, and I want to expand it. And then likely what I see in my head about the process of this, I don't know the rules of writing. I learned that that's different than not being a writer. That's why Silver's laughing right now, because Silver helped me realize that. Anyway, I'm not allowed to say that I'm not a writer anymore. I don't know the rules of writing, but the last time I went through this process of like editing and stuff, I go through it and then get another pair of eyes at least on it to go through it again just to make sure. And this edition we're going to be submitting to Llewellyn and a couple other publishing places to actually get it like an actual physical copy, because everybody's asking us for that. So it takes a while. We're probably going to get through reading it again before it actually is available printed. And in fact, I'm not opposed to doing the reading with you guys and kind of editing as we go and based on the questions that you guys ask. Because if you're asking questions, that means I didn't explain it in the book, is how I'm seeing that. So like, how cool would that be to just like adjust it? Let me add that right here, because clearly I didn't go into it deep enough. So that's how I see it happening, is that we're probably going to edit through it as I read through it the second time, and then from there. That's what I'm thinking. Helvi, you are absolutely right that the elemental associations within different traditions does vary. And I've always found that absolutely fascinating. A lot of it has to do with the weather in the place where that cultural tradition began. Someone in the like right around the equator is going to have a different relationship with fire than someone that is like closer to one of the poles, right? I find that fascinating.
That makes so much sense. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I love looking into, I end up learning something and then I go down a research hole about it. I try to get messages first from my intuition and then go research about it, just because otherwise I will just go full logic brain. And I am trying to lean more into my intuition. But I remember there was a similar thing I noted about, I can't remember which culture it is, but it's yeah, it's basically, but there is a couple of different cultures that like I think it might be like over in like Siberia kind of area. Um, but it was very specific. So we often think of like the sun as like masculine and the moon as feminine, but that's actually pretty like common, right? Like through a lot of places, but then there's like other cultures that are very much like, no, the sun is a woman and the moon is a man, right? Like, so which is it's very interesting, like to think of like why, why that flipped and, like what correlate, like what does it mean too about like the way that they raise people too. So that's very interesting to me. So
Yeah. I'm a chaos switch. My practice is rooted in chaos. So my personal relationship with the elements is what I go off of. Um, and my personal relationship with the elements is based on a 35 years of occult practice and witchcraft, as that includes initiations into several different traditions, because of my fascination with how all of the different traditions approach all of these different things, like the elements or duality, even. So, yeah. And so I usually teach from that place of chaos magic, chaos meaning infinite possibilities.
I wanted to say that I think that that's part of what is so special about this particular path, is because so many of us are have been detached from our personal lineage through colonization and systems of supremacy. That if there are people that don't really know their lineage, I know that you can always now do ancestry type of stuff, but even then, still people still feel very detached from it, or people that are from, you know, lines of colonizers. Like I think that it's really important to be able to establish and trust in order to regain the trust in self, really, to find your own personal associations. That's been a huge thing for me. And I think I've heard like other people that are in Brain Dark say that as well. That feels like we are reassociating, reuniting, right, with the aspects of ourselves that were cut off. And that feels very important. Like for me personally, like my Jewish heritage I was always very resistant to it. And now I've kind of like allowed myself to soften into certain practices and learn from them. And then also in doing that, decolonize what I see as, from my personal associations as a colonized aspect of that tradition. And then I'm able to turn it into my own personal thing. And the more personal it is, the more powerful it is. So
A lot of the ancestral work in the tradition that's outlined in the grimoire is in that, like, almost like leap of faith. I believe that one of the many costs of uh how do I say that? I'm like, are we public or am I in a what can I say? When as a descendant of colonizers, when my family chose participation in this disconnected system, the cost was that connection to the elements. It was the connection to my environment that my lineage had cultivated for countless generations. And no one can show me that. No one can show me that. There's such a disconnection, even if I picked one of the rainbow of genetic contributions because I'm descendant of colonizers. it's like, which one do I even choose? Which do I choose? Which one's the most like effective? It pausing and turning inward to work on that relationship of trust, to be reminded that we are inherently connected. We just have to remember how to ask those questions, right? So even though, like, because my ancestors chose to disconnect, it is my birthright to reconnect in a way that is intuitive. I am forced to repair my relationship with the unseen so that I can reconnect my lineage to active participation in what's going on here, right? Does that make sense? That makes sense? Yeah. It's hard. It was expensive. It was very expensive, the decision that my ancestors made. Very expensive. But we're not broken. It's not irreparable. It just takes one decision at a time, one act of trust, one act of connection, one act of releasing our obsession with control. So, and this is what we're doing. Well, we're coming to the end of our time together tonight. Thank you, everyone that showed up for this live grimoire reading. If you enjoyed this open Q&A that we have had, we are actually going to be doing our live recording of our podcast, Wisdom in the Weave, on Saturday. And so it'll be Sass and Silver and I, but also other members of the Unbound. So you will have access to ask whatever question that you might have about your practice, about your life. We give great advice, by the way. I'm a terrible influence, but we collectively give great life advice. It was wonderful to hang out with you all too. I'm looking forward to doing this again with you and starting the book over again. Yeah, if you stumbled upon this live reading and you're like, these guys are pretty cool, you can come into the app space that we created. That's what just flashed across the screen. And I missed the cue to actually talk about it. So there it is. You can come play with us. Ta-da! I feel like I want to transition a little more. So I'm gonna since I have a captive audience, everyone put your hand on your heart and take a deep breath. This working is now closing, but the magic has just begun. I humbly thank the elements and both the moon and sun. To all who chose to bless this flow, I now sincerely thank you. May our practice be expansive and our course be clear and true. All right, witches, go get them. Go get them. Bye.